Hello, hello. It keeps going off by itself. Too much ringing. Turn the ringy down. Gotta figure out what that is. Monitors aren't on. Not right now. Info, info, info. I'm only going So you started the YouTube thing and everything?
I did. It's all on Facebook's live.
But have you checked the app?
No, I don't have to.
Oh my gosh.
Someone check the app and see if it's live. Yes.
Yeah, somebody got an app. See if it's live on the app.
I don't have the app. I have the real thing.
Under messages live. Oh, if you hit play, holy guacamole. It's working. It's working. And it's no. Is there a delay? Yeah, there's a delay. Ooh, big delay. That's the key. All right, so our app is live now. So Ustream will be going away. So if you're used to watching Ustream, if you're watching online tonight, Ustream is going away. Facebook Live will continue for a little while, but it will finally go away, and we will only stream to the app. So you'll use the app, or you can go straight to YouTube if you're on a web browser and search us there. We'll put the YouTube link on our Facebook page when the Facebook Live goes away. It's on Facebook and YouTube tonight. Yeah, so they'll both continue. But the reason there's such a big delay is it's hard to broadcast to two simultaneous streams. And so that's what is causing a little bit of our problem. So as you go up north, make sure you've got the app working. Live worship. Yeah, Ustream is off. It'll disappear off your app in the next day or two. Ustream will. So you'll just have archived and live. And then Facebook you can go to on your own just for a little while. Just for a little while. All right, if you got Sun Times, look at the back on the prairie quest. Wow. It's a lot of them.
Sean, you remember the corn man that was at home?
Yes?
He was asking about your insurance.
What'd you tell him?
The best we could.
Good.
So,
Archie, no, what's his name?
The Jamaican guy?
Yeah, Jamaican guy, right?
he
Yep.
also wanted to know about your mother.
Oh, no.
Did you hear that? Do you remember the Jamaican guy at Health Park? He was asking about me.
Yeah?
Yep, you, Mamie.
You know which one.
All right, you want to give an update on any of those? That would be awesome. You're going home on Monday?
Lord willing.
Why? It's still cold,
Can't stand it.
snowy. Are you going to sit in the house and look out the window?
Maybe you're right. Why don't you come up and visit?
Because it's cold, rainy. We'd both sit in the house and look out the window.
We'll get you a job.
Where's your neck at? Nobody? I'm waiting on anybody to update whoever's on here. Chickie's doing better, a little peaked still, but she's getting there. I assume we took Angelina shopping last week, or Jackie did, with your stuff. They are living in a house that her sister, the mom's sister, is helping to pay for right now. So I think that's good through the end of March. I think so. Right. That burnt? Yes. Probably not yet. Is there anything else back there we need to wait for? Did. Corey's hand, it's not surgery, right? She's just seeing the guy. Yeah, just seeing him. Okay. If no updates, changes, or that, turn back over to the front. Donna and Barbara are here.
No, my cousin Ricky, he just had his fourth chemo. Not doing very well. We saw a picture of him. He's really lost a lot of weight. So if everybody could just keep praying for him. Ricky Maddie.
Sixth up from the bottom, Ricky Maddie. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Also, my friend Jessie Holden's had a breast biopsy this week, so keep her in the prayers. I don't have a phone number for her. She's number 2?
Number 2.
Okay. But I told her this day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are y'all literally sitting in the chairs you sit out on Sunday morning?
No.
I know he is. No, I was just those three. I knew. I know. Good point. Did you sign in front of it?
Yes.
Literally, after the UK kids left, when we put these back together, I figured out how it went based on where you were signed. The names were. Yeah, because the rows were kind of off. We didn't do it right. And then we found your names and we were like, oh, this is right. Here's right. Here's a problem. So our carpet was supposedly delivered to the warehouse today. We should have it here so that after church Sunday we can unload the trailer with a bunch of people here. Next week's going to be a crazy week if we can pull it off. So we're just going to kind of play it by ear. If enough people show up next Monday to do it, we're going to just try to get it done before Easter. But if not enough show up on Monday, we're not even going to attempt it. It will take 2 solid days, and we can do it. Yeah, it's just squares. I mean, the glue down, let it dry. Everybody stand around, watch glue dry. And then put them down in the right manner and order. And then when we get over in these edges, we got to cut them. So it gets a little weird that way. So Monday's going to be the attempt. Enough people show up, we'll stack the chairs and we'll try to get it done. If you are going to church safety security, is that what we're calling it, Warren? So 8 of your guys are being trained in mass shooting situations next week. So that takes up Tuesday and Friday for some of us. So that's why I said it's going to be a busy week. But that is happening behind the scenes here. So 8 of your guys are being security trained by policemen, India policemen. And then they're going to come and do an actual building survey and plan out the safety scenarios and things like that. So that's all happening. Wanted you to tell you. So our whole duck don't run process will be changing a little bit. May still on a duck, I don't know. New Life Discoveries tomorrow at 7 under the church or in the youth room downstairs. Come and join that if you haven't been. You will want to see. We have a new service starting Friday night. It's actually just one service this year, Friday night. It's a Good Friday service, kinda. New to me. Wes has done one before, so we're going to do it. It's called a tenebrae. Yes, my knees are bouncing. It's the caffeine. What? Oh, it's 7. Okay. But you didn't give them you didn't give them the spelling. So it's a tenebrae, Tenebrae. So it means darkness or shadows. So it goes along with the Good Friday. It's at night. It ends in darkness. And then the service actually finishes on Sunday morning with light. So it promises to be a really cool service. So if you've missed live band, you're going to want to be here because live band is back Friday night for the service. Yeah, he is. Your kids. I'm not supposed to tell you? Never mind. Forget that.
Sean, the church looks beautiful.
Thank you. Steve Roberts just finished painting those 2 rooms back there yesterday so that we could have dinner in it tonight, and it looks a lot better.
The whole church is amazing. Amazing.
All right, anything else on the front that we didn't talk about? Got to do? Back in the retreat center next Wednesday night. You see the different Bible studies. Ladies have a new one, and then continuing ones. Check that out. That's it for that. Oh, Easter Sunday. If you can volunteer tomorrow, you're counting plastic eggs because Mary Hewitt needs to know how many eggs we need. We're not going to announce that till Sunday after y'all count the eggs we have. So we need about 300. So if you're here tomorrow, maybe a lady, good with math, we'll show you where the tubs of eggs are. Make sure we got them. And then so then Sunday we'll hand them back out and then you can fill them with candy. Sounds like fun, right? All right. Sandy Good, why don't you pray for us, would you? Amen. Doug, where'd you just post at? On the message board? Right? I got notice that you did it, but I can't see it. If you want to check out the message board, the Retreat Center guests use the message board to send you comments or compliments about your church and Retreat Center. If you'll check out the message board, those are all on there from the last week. Yes, ma'am? So they could have waited. Sweet. Now they had to go home because somebody was sick early, right? They had to go home early because somebody was sick? Alice and Jerry. Who was it that had to leave? Ray just told me about them. They immediately had to leave because, remember, somebody had a heart transplant 2 years ago and he was going in for his checkup, and 3 days prior to that he fell ill and it looks like the heart's rejecting the heart. The body's rejecting the heart after 2.5 years. That's what they get for going up there. Remember that Monday. It's still snowing. Well, Doug, I don't know what you posted. I'll see if I can find it. It wasn't under the live worship thing, right? Huh, okay. Maybe it'll show up. We don't have it all. All right, if you got a Bible, turn over to... I don't know that I did all the verses I was supposed to do Sunday, so... So let's just read it 3, 5, and 6 again. Using, does your version have the word submit in it? Well, read it and change the word to submit. Acknowledge. 3, 5, and 6, yeah. Trust in the Lord in all your heart and lean on your understanding. In all your ways, what? Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways, what? What does your book say?
I'm just reading what my whole thing says. You can change it.
Okay, say it.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take.
Wow, seek His will. That's not bad. I like that one. Seek His will in all you do, instead of acknowledge or even submit. I like that. Then follow it with, then we looked at Abram and Sarai and the way you can apply that to your life as far as what your decisions look like based on control or surrender. Anybody got an example? Anybody willing to share what they wrote down that you're trying to control? Who? Oh, Regina said you could share hers? Oh. Okay. Yeah, share somebody else's. Or you can tell us it's somebody else's. We don't know.
Cheers.
What? What is mine? I wasn't taking notes that morning. You all were. Want to control God. That's yeah. We do want to control God. So, how does it manifest? Meaning, how do you show, what does it look like in your life when you're trying to control God? One area. And we've talked about this one a bunch. Or yours could be different. Huh? There you go. Happiness, contentment. What about your prayer life? Does your prayer life look like you're trying to control God? Or does it look like you're surrendering to, what does it say? Seek His will. Remember what's the Lord's Prayer? If you take the Lord's Prayer and you break that down and that one thing that says, let your will be done, basically, on earth as it is in heaven. Meaning, I already acknowledge the fact that you've got this plan up in heaven. Now, allow me to see that down here. Not change what's going on up there so that my will gets happening down here. Change what's up there. Somebody questioned me when we were talking about Abram and Sarah. So if Abram made the choice to take control, or Sarai made the choice to take control and sleep with Hagar, wasn't it? So how does my theology line up with God creating all babies and that choice happening? You want to talk about deep? That's pretty deep. Because if God didn't want Ishmael to be born, he wouldn't have been. No ifs, ands, or buts. According to my theology of babies, it wouldn't have happened. So if that happened, does that make Abram's choice still a bad one? He does turn all things to good. It's a good number. See, I have to go with it was still Abram a bad choice to sleep with Hagar. You have to say that. You cannot change that. Because if you change that, now you've changed one of God's character laws about adultery, right? And they had that one going on. Even if it was a multiple wife thing, Hagar wasn't one of them. So she didn't count. It was still outside of God's will for the sleeping together to have happened. And yet out of that, Ishmael is born, which would have been end up being God's nemesis on the planet. Because through that we have Muhammad. So that whole lineage still gets traced back to Abram, but God still knew maybe it was going to happen. Are you okay with saying knew that it was going to happen, yet still created Ishmael? See, so you can get kind of caught in this and give God all the credit, and then you don't have to be responsible for your choices. You don't have to be responsible for your actions or your decisions if you're not careful. So the theology of it has to be that he allows us the space to make these choices, knowing the outcomes already. Okay, so we still have to know that God knows what you're going to choose even before you're giving the choice of option. So we have to give God enough credit to be way ahead of us. You know, his ways and his plans being higher. Knowing that it's going to happen. And then also knowing that he's still giving us the ability to walk around and live and be responsible for the choices that we make. Followed by, then, grace. Because Abraham still got covered by grace.
That's kind of similar to what David and Bathsheba.
Sure.
When the baby was born, he's looking at adulterous relationship, but of course David has eventually, but the baby got a lot of baby to be born.
So the point is, David and Bathsheba have a baby, the baby dies. If our theology forces us to say that because of the choice, that's the reason the baby dies, we have to trace this back to Abram and then say that this choice was okay. So we can't do that. We can't say that the baby would die as a result of the choice of David and Bathsheba. You can't say it. Because it has to apply across the board. Everything of God's character doesn't waver, it doesn't change. So it was either bad at once or always, it was either good all the time or bad all the time. So in both those scenarios, the choices were wrong. The resulting outcome was still there and still known by God. So even our choices on earth, the things that are going to happen, you know how people like to say, yeah, you get forgiven, but there's still consequences? Still consequences? We still have to understand that God knows the consequences too. He already knows the outcome of we'll use sin, of the outcome of your sin. He knows the planetary consequences that go with it. And he also knows which one are going to apply to you. You ever met somebody who sins and they don't get the consequence? No? I hate those people. I mean, that's the people I hate the most. They get to do all they want to do and they never have any consequences. Right? And then you like to say, well, it'll catch up with you. Right? Oh, it'll get you. I was on the phone the other day and we were talking about that exact same thing. And they quoted God when he said, vengeance is mine. So they were talking about things that were happening to them. And then they were saying, because of that, I know God's going to get them back. The consequences have to happen. They have to, they were saying. And I'm like, that don't count. That's not what he means. Vengeance is mine is not a consequential thing here on the planet. God doesn't get people back on the planet because they did something bad to you. You're just not that important. That his whole character is going to change. He's not going to affect people on the planet because of you to help you feel better. Vengeance is mine is good and evil. He's going to take out his vengeance on evil as a whole, not people, these dust bodies, because of the things they do. That doesn't make any sense. Because if it did, you would probably be smited a couple of times a day, if not more. Right? So what does it mean about our control, and what does it mean about our surrender? When we surrender, I know for a fact if Abram had kept surrendering, he would not have slept with Hagar. Right? Because of the character. If he held out, he would have just had Isaac. That's all that would have happened. And literally that's the only, if he'd held out. So what does surrender look like? So somebody asked Monday, what does that really look like? Well, if you take that example, it means you're given choices, and in those choices lies God's character and sin. And you can literally make your choices based on what God says about those things. So if you look at the situation, that's where you can't say, God promised me a nation, my wife's not getting pregnant, that means I have to go sleep with somebody else. You cannot change God's character to bring about a plan that God has revealed to you. You just can't do it. You have to hold on to the promise, and you hold on to it for as long as it takes. Regardless. So if you feel in your heart that God has something for you, that you feel He just keeps telling you and telling you and telling you, I'm saying you don't go after it if it involves even the slightest hand of sin. If you have to lie, don't go that way. If you have to even skirt the truth, don't go that way. If you have to do something that would cause others to think, that's a little off. I don't know. See, any of that doubt. The person who was asking me about that, I said, so everybody you've encountered in this decision-making process you've done, are they on board or at least pro-God in your decision? Or are they saying things like, not very good. If you're a Christian, I don't want to be one. Or even my limited knowledge of God, that doesn't sound right to him or doesn't sound right to me. Do you have peace in the decision? See, I think God's character comes out in the decisions. So you have all the things that the Bible tells you are godly characteristics, right? Fruits. They're not your fruits, they're His fruits. Peace, patience, long-suffering, understanding, all those items, right? So in your decision, you're going to get those. You have to. If you make a decision and instead of peace, you get anxiety, how can you then say God was in the decision? Because you left out His character. It just can't be. Now, I didn't say you weren't uncomfortable. That's different. I've had peace. I've even had joy without happiness. Anybody ever had that? Right? Peace and joy, no happiness? Yeah. Because I didn't get my way, never going to be happy when I don't get my way. Bye, Maddie. I love you. Ever. Long time. I'm going to get impatient. How can I get impatient and make decisions inside of God's character? It's impossible. I should I should see the fruits. See, we want to see the fruits. I want to see the fruits in you. But in reality, in this process, I need to see the fruits of God that belong to Him in the process. He will reveal His character in every decision you make. You shouldn't even get angry in decisions that He makes. Like I said, it kind of gets gray there and uncomfortable and not happy and all that stuff, but you know God's character. I mean, how many times have you literally had to talk yourself into making the decision that you know is not the right one by just trying to come up with a way that it would actually come out right in the end? Right? That's exactly what Abram did. Yes, I know it's wrong to sleep, but I'm going to get a baby out of it, and God said I'd get one, so hey, it's got to be okay. And you might not go that far. But there's things. I know I want to do this, so I'm going to do this to make that happen. I'm going to make a decision here. It doesn't look godly, so that the result does. And you get grief and turmoil all the way through. And then even when it comes to fruition, even, I promise you, when Abram's baby with Hagar was born, he did not have joy. Or peace. Yeah, I think he probably feared God more than we do. A little bit. And the whole time that process is going on, you know, you ever done something you know you weren't supposed to do, and then you're always looking behind your back, or you're always trying to make sure your tracks are covered, right? Y'all don't do that? Okay, so if you were a teenager, you probably did. Where you lie and you keep lying and you keep lying, and then you're just constantly just torn up inside. Somebody's going to notice. Somebody's going to know. Somebody's going to see. Somebody's going to whatever. Or I'm going to get found out. And you're just like always, always, always torn up. Yes, ma'am?
I mean, Hagar, even before the baby was born, Hagar began to tease Sarah. She began to just heighten this face, and Sarah began to focus. So
Yeah.
she began to turn against, because she was so barren. He was my son.
So she said even before the baby was born, Hagar started to tease Sarah, which is true. Now, we also can't say she did that because Sarah set it up. We can't say that had to happen because of it.
No, I don't, it's
Right.
because, I mean, I'm pregnant, you're not. And I was your slave, but now I'm pregnant.
Right.
So I will like,
The slave has superseded the master. Right. Absolutely. I totally believe Hagar felt that way. We don't know if Hagar was a follower. You don't. That's what's interesting about this. We like to put this up in a box, and we like to say, well, because of the consequence, because if I'm a Christian, just the grace alone is okay, and I feel better because of it. Or I'm not going to get certain things because I'm a Christian. We have no clue Hagar's following status, her desire to be a God follower. We have and I think by design we aren't told, because sometimes you and I'll use that. We'll use our Christianity as a wavering tool as far as the decisions we make. I heard a sermon one time called Greasy Grace. You ever heard of Greasy Grace? Greasy Grace is the grace you get when you predetermine you're going to get grace, so you go ahead and do it. Because literally, after the process, you do get grace. You do. Abram got grace. He did. No denying it. David got grace. Has nothing to do with the baby dying. Grace followed. And every time you mess up, grace follows. But when you predetermine that you're going to go ahead and accept the grace and make the bad decision, there's a problem there. And I don't know that we got a real word for it. Yuck. Greasy grace may be the only way to do it. But what keeps us from doing that? It's the character of God that doesn't happen in the middle. Even knowing that you're going to get the grace leaves out the characteristics or the fruits of God in the middle of it. So as you're making it, you get that, oh man, feeling. You get that scared feeling. You get whatever that's not God fruit, and that's what you see, and that's what you see. And that's what you feel. So we can use those as indicators. It can help you in your decision-making process. For those of us who have trouble going, is this God? If this is it, I don't know if God wants me to go this way or that way. Hopefully they're not as... you should be able to handle the Abraham-Sarah one. You should be. That one should be a no-brainer. Some of us, I understand, Abram, one of us, had a problem, even knowing that was a problem. But in the other stuff, the harder ones, the ones that aren't just so crystal clear, can I urge you to look for his character, his fruits, because they're going to be in one and not the other. See, I don't believe God is in every single decision and then just kind of works it out for good. I think he's in one of the decisions, and when we really, really struggle and we make the wrong one, that's where grace applies. When we really try, we're like seeking, and we just missed it. Maybe we just didn't hear that one day. Maybe for a moment we turned it off. I think it's impossible to not hear him if you're trying, but for that moment you turned it, you just, whatever, you blinked and you missed and you made the decision. That's where grace gets applied. That's where he works it out. That's where he already knew that was going to happen anyway. And he had already planned it. He had already paved the way, and he'd already fixed it, and he kind of got it in there. Yes, there's consequences and all that happens, but at the end of that, you get this joy back that says, I missed it, but I'm still joyful in God. right? Because I didn't intend it. I didn't intend to break it. I didn't intend to go against it. I didn't try to change his mind. So go back to your prayer life. When you pray and you know you're not praying in God's will, and you pray and you're praying in yours, and your decision or your outcome doesn't happen, think about it. How do you respond to God? Because when you're holding on to control and you're praying your will, even though you tag it with, if it be your will, or you tag it with, but if you don't do it this way, I'll still be okay. If you tag it with that, you're not giving up control. You're not surrendering. You've got a safety net of grace. You've got this, if this works out the way I've prayed, it's going to be awesome. But if not, I'll accept it. Right? That's not giving up. That's not surrender. That's sort of playing both sides of the field, walking both sides of the line. But, before you get and fuss at me for the prayer thing, let's read what Paul said. We'll finish with this. Philippians 4, yeah. Philippians 4:6, I believe. Yeah, I know, you wrote it down. Put it on the mirror. Starts with do not. Yeah, same letter. Mm-hmm. And 7.
Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything you can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus.
So, when we start this whole process, this decision-making process, and I think you have to marry Paul's exhortation to say, pray without ceasing. Okay? Because what happens is if I got to make sure I say it right. If you don't pray without ceasing, then have you ever caught yourself, maybe I should pray about this, right? I mean, even in a well-meaning thing, well, I'm going to pray about this. Well, why aren't you already praying? Because if you're praying without ceasing, means you don't have to start praying. If you find yourself having to pray about something, then you haven't prayed without ceasing. You've prayed with ceasing. And then you had an opportunity to start up again. Why would we choose a time in our life where you don't want to pray? That is using prayer as a defense. I said that Sunday. Prayer is not supposed to be your last resort. You're not supposed to say things like, well, now I should pray about it. Or, all we can do now is pray. So you find an accident. Somebody has an accident. God forbid. And somebody has to say, all we can do now is pray. Well, I get it that your hands are tied. I get that. For someone else. But what are you going to pray? If all you can do now is pray for that man laying in a hospital bed, how are you going to pray? If it's your last resort. All I can do is pray. What are you going to pray? Are you going to pray surrender? Are you going to pray him healed? Come on. Are you going to pray surrender? Are you going to not give God the list? Now, go ahead before I go to petition. Okay, so we're praying without ceasing. I'm going to just jump right back. Then you're able, where it just says, do not be anxious for anything.
Which is hard.
It is hard if you're praying with ceasing. So if you're praying without ceasing and a decision comes up, you're already prayed. I mean, you are praying. Okay, it's not like you pre-prayed. You're praying. There's no reason to be anxious. So ask yourself, are you being anxious about something? All that means is you weren't praying when the anxiety hit. You had stepped back a little bit. Because anxiety simply means you're losing control. You're scared of the outcome. Something's getting ready to happen, and you're worried about it. because you feel like you're losing control. Where if I'm living surrendered and I'm allowing God to manage all of my steps, I'm allowing him to manage my whole day as much as I can. I mean, that's our goal. I mean, I'm up here saying it like I got up this morning and only took one step without praying. You know, this is hard. Very hard. Not impractical. Not impossible, but hard. So he says, so don't be anxious about it, but in all the situations, no matter what you're doing, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving. Okay, it doesn't mean take your list to him. That's not what it means. Because once again, you would have ceased praying if you're now going to approach God with a list. Your petition, meaning tell him what you want. Okay, so he already knows what you want. Okay, but that's okay. We're approaching him. We're continually approaching him. We're praying. We're not ceasing. And a decision comes. And with this spirit of thanksgiving, because don't forget that part. We all see the petition part. Well, that means I get to ask for something. Well, you got to be thankful first, or you got to have thankfulness with it. And how can I be thankful if I don't have the answer yet? It's not about the answer. It's about the attitude. I'm thankful, remember, that he's even listening to me. I'm thankful that I can approach him. I'm thankful already. So once I'm thankful that he's doing that, I really don't care what the answer is. I'm just approaching, and I'm being thankful. Present them to God so that you can receive peace.
Joy,
Yeah, the grace gives you the peace. Grace is personified. Jesus is grace. It's not just something he doles out. It is him. So if I'm living in the Spirit, okay, that's what this all looks like. I'm living in the Spirit. I'm walking in the Spirit. Well, what's that look like? That means I'm talking to him about everything. I'm talking to him about the argument that I'm wanting to have. And then I won't have one. He will guard my tongue. That's a promise. How does that happen? By living in the Spirit. By allowing him to control me. By surrendering my attitude. By surrendering my actions. By surrendering my prayer life. By constantly talking to him. Then something's going to happen on the planet. And I'm going to be faced with a situation that requires my response. What does it look like? It either looks like you or it looks like God. One of them you're in control of. The other one you're in surrender of. And I can promise that surrender one stinks to the human most of the time. The surrender one is the one that after you've done the human one, you look back and go, probably shouldn't have said that. The human one is the one that the spirit one, when it's done, makes you go, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I knew better. The know better. The human knows better after, or the spirit knows better after the human's already run its mouth or committed its action or whatever we're talking about. Paul promises that you can head that off at the pass. You can filter everything you say and do and go and be, everything. You can filter it. Filter it first through this thankful attitude of constant prayer. That is a conversation that you and God have 100% of the time. Not just gather and pray. Not just make a list and pray. Just don't stop praying. See, I think prayer is the most important for your life and my life.
Yeah, but you say the word pray, in our human mind, we think about when you go, okay, Johnette, pray. Dear Heavenly Gracious Father, that is not what I consider praying. And I know,
Right.
I don't know if people pray like that to him. It's nothing like that. It's it's a. So when you say pray, and you say do it 100% of the time, think people think of praying is like when people get up there and pray in church, and I don't think, for me personally, that's not 100% communication all the time, because you can't
Right.
walk around all day going, you know.
And you can't have your eyes closed.
Right.
So that means prayer doesn't have to happen with your eyes closed.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. So, it's just constant communication, constant talk.
Yes.
Constant, that's what I feel.
Constant filter. Maybe we can say the word filter. And prayer can be the filter by which you respond after. By which you do after. So you've got an action and you filter it through prayer. Because you're constantly doing it. If you do that, you probably won't flip anybody off tomorrow. Right? You might not cuss them out. You might not, spousals, you might not go at each other. You might not. I'm just saying. Because the character of God is found in one, but not the other. It's found in surrender, but not in control. You can do things with the heart of God constantly. And we know it's possible because there's all this time in the day that you're going, that wasn't it, that wasn't it, that wasn't it. So there's places for change. You know what I mean? It's like we can say it's hard and I don't know what to do. Yeah, you do. Don't do what you've been doing. Don't just start praying when there's a problem. Don't just start praying when you remember it. Don't just constantly talk to God about your attitude. Talk to God about your words. Talk to God about how you treat people. Talk to God about the stuff that you're supposed to do. Talk to God about your giving. Talk to God about your service. Talk to God about, everything. Everything. And it won't get mundane. It won't get monotonous. It'll just be His fruits coming out. Yes, ma'am.
For me as a teacher, when we were 5 years old, I found myself a lot saying, I didn't stop.
Sure. Constantly.
God help me to approach another way from this child, which is different from that child. And then what I find myself also when I get a breakthrough, and one child understands there is something. But what's the praise? Give me strength, give me patience, because you need that consolation. And I'm doing better now that I'm praying more about it.
Yeah. But what's the promise we get? We just said it, but we missed one word, and I didn't want to leave it without it. Verse 7 says that you get not just peace. Some of your versions say supernatural. Stuff you don't understand that transcends all. Not just the common man's understanding. All understanding. It's the understanding that even you, when it happens, goes, whoa. I like that. Huh? Whoa. Right. So I'm seeing her 5 hours after it happens. She's got peace. I don't understand it. And she said 2 days later, I didn't understand it. I was just talking to God.
And that's my favorite part of that, is when you're constant communication, and we want to put everything in a box, and we want everything to be black and white, but supernaturally, His supernatural in His realm, like, you were like, wait a minute, I can't think like this. I can't be okay. I can't. His supernatural, you're like, all right, that's good.
I really should be more upset than this.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a transcending understanding, or a transcendent understanding that we don't get. Can that be something to look forward to? Can it be something that, like at the end of the day, you look back and you're like, wow, that was cool. It's not me, because I'm not a patient person, but I was patient today. That's crazy.
But
It's not me. I like to lose my temper.
But you
Today I
have to
didn't.
stay in there.
Oh, yeah.
You have to stay in that constant with Him, because that's when He gives it to you. But when you're not in that constant is when you go back into your crappy.
And it feels like you're climbing out of this hole. Your prayer life looks like that. Oh, I got to get back up to God. This was a really bad decision, right? This is a bad deal. Whatever it is, I've got to get back to God. And you find yourself going and just, closing your eyes and pulling the hat down over your head, whatever you're doing. and you're just like trying to tune in, right? I got to shut everything out. You ever said that? I got to shut everything out and just talk to God. How much noise did you have? You can keep it at bay. Stay in that zone. Stay in that zone. Don't get yourself caught in the hole. But let mercy apply when you find yourself there. Start over the next day where he says that mercy's new every single day. Every day you wake up, it's just like it's the first one. And that's what's cool about it. I was so thankful the other day. I woke up and I'm like, that verse came to my mind. And I'm like, thank God I didn't have to start where I ended yesterday. And it's not like God's going, okay, now you slept. You remember how bad it was. Now let's see. No, it's just brand new. It's just you wake up and God's like, hey, here's what I got for you today. Check it out. No talk of yesterday. No talk of tomorrow. Right now, present with God is the ultimate promise. And it's so cool. Unless you don't get it. And then it sucks. And then tomorrow I get it again. And it's cool.
Living with 10
Peoples.
young adult teenagers, this is definitely a must.
Yeah. For some, just living with one. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Wouldn't it be nice if you allowed yourself to start over with your kids every day? Wouldn't it be nice if you didn't carry forward what your husband did yesterday? Steve, you look guilty. I don't know if you are. I know you're not allowed to sit with her right now, so I don't know what that means. Or did you buy that chair? Wouldn't it be nice if you could literally do that? Guess what? That's the character of God that's offered to you. When you start out with the Spirit and you're walking, He won't let you go back on your kids. He won't let you go back on your spouse. He just won't let you because He doesn't do that. He doesn't go, remember when? Did you not learn your lesson? Haven't I told you that 1,000 times? He never does that to you. The character of God is available to you, and then it's available for you to let come out of you. And that's when the spirit life starts to really sink in. It really does. Let's all stand and go. Tomorrow, Papa's not here, so you got to see Johnette or Sandy. I think Sandy's, didn't you take over upstairs here? Somebody shows up, come see Sandy. If Jerry's not here, Jerry will be here too. Outside stuff, Steve Long can be in charge of. That'd be nice. Right? Oh. I don't worry, Ron and Jerry. They were here all day, so maybe they went home and didn't want to fight traffic to come back. Let's all stand, we'll pray. God, I thank you that every day's new. Thank you that I can live in surrender. But I also thank you for grace when I try to keep control. Teach me the difference. Remind me of the better way. In your name we pray. Amen.